wasn't angry at God. I was just tired. Tired of waiting, tired of praying, tired of pretending everything was okay. So I stopped asking, stopped listening, and eventually, I ran. I ran from the silence. I ran from the pain. I ran from the one I once trusted the most. And what's crazy? No one even noticed. I buried myself in distractions. Music, scrolling, noise. I smiled when I had to, laughed when it was expected, and inside, I was disappearing. I thought I was escaping God. But the truth, I was escaping me. And then came the crash. Not a car accident. Not an explosion. Something quieter, but just as devastating. It was a phone call. A conversation I wasn't ready for. A truth I didn't want to hear. And suddenly, everything that was keeping me numb stopped working. The music I blasted felt hollow. The scrolling made me sick. Even silence became unbearable. I remember that night vividly. Dark room, no lights, just me, my thoughts, and the weight of everything I tried to avoid. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone in my hand, mind racing with everything I couldn't fix. My job was falling apart. Friendships were crumbling. I couldn't pray. I didn't even know how to cry. I had poured so much energy into pretending to be okay, pretending to be strong, pretending I didn't need God. But in that moment, it all came undone. And that's when I whispered it, barely louder than a breath. God, if you're still there, I can't keep running. I was expecting thunder, a sign, maybe even rejection. But all I got was silence. And yet, that silence didn't feel empty. Not anymore. It felt like presence, like someone had been there the whole time, just waiting for me to stop running, waiting for me to look up. The next morning I woke up, feeling the same weight, but something was different. I couldn't explain it. It wasn't peace, it wasn't clarity, but it was a pull, a quiet nudge in my chest. I hadn't touched my Bible in months, maybe even a year. It was buried under books, notebooks, dust, just like my faith. But for some reason, I reached for it. No plan. No reading guide, just desperation. And I opened it. Randomly. And this is what I read. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. Psalm 139, 7-8. I froze. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. Was was like the words were reading me, like God Himself had been following every step of my escape. Not to punish me, but to find me. That verse, it hit me like a thunderbolt. Not because it gave answers, but because it gave presence. It didn't fix everything. My life was still messy, my heart was still healing, but it stopped the running. It made me sit still. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel alone. I felt seen, known, pursued. God hadn't left. I had. But even when I ran, He ran faster. After that morning, I didn't become perfect. I didn't suddenly become holy. I still struggled, still wrestled, still failed. But I stopped hiding. I started showing up to my own life. I started praying again, awkwardly at first. I started writing again, crying again, letting God re-enter my reality. And it wasn't dramatic. No angels, no fire from heaven, just small, quiet moments. Moments where I'd be driving and feel tears in my eyes. Moments when a song would play and my soul would stir. Moments when someone would text me out of nowhere and say exactly what I needed to hear. God started showing up in places I had never expected. Not in the miracles, but in the mundane. He was in the stillness of my morning coffee, in the sunlight that hit my face when I stepped outside, in the friend who just sat beside me and said nothing, but stayed. It wasn't about fixing my life. It was about rebuilding my heart, brick by brick, layer by layer, with grace and time. And the most beautiful part? He never said, "Where have you been?" He just said, "Welcome back." If you've been running, I get it. I really do. It's easier to run than to face silence. It's easier to stay numb than to feel again. It's easier to fake strength than to admit how weak you really are. But here's what I learned. Running from God never leads to peace, only exhaustion. And the further I ran, the more I realized He was never behind me, chasing. He was ahead, waiting for me to collapse into His arms, to stop striving, to stop pretending, to just return. And maybe that's where you are right now, at the edge, at the end, at the place where running doesn't work anymore. If that's you, hear this. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified. You are not too far gone. You are still deeply loved. And maybe, just maybe, you're not just running from God. You're being called by Him. Because the ones who run the hardest often become the ones who carry the message the loudest. And maybe your return will be the beginning of someone else's rescue. So if you've been running, maybe it's time to come home. Lord, to the one watching right now, the one who's tired of running, wrap them in your presence. Let them feel you again. Not in the noise, not in the answers, but in the stillness. Remind them that they are not too far gone, that you never stopped chasing, that even in their silence, you stayed. Heal what they've hidden. Speak to what they've silenced. Bring peace to the parts they thought you forgot. Father, if they feel too weak to come back, carry them. Remind them that you don't need perfect prayers, only honest ones. That you don't need strength, just surrender. Thank you for never leaving. Thank you for never giving up. And thank you for calling us home. In Jesus' name, amen. If this video spoke to your soul, don't leave without doing something about it. Drop a comment. I'm coming back. Let it be your declaration, your first step. Subscribe, not just for more videos, but to walk this journey with us. You are not alone anymore. And share this with someone you know is running, someone who needs to hear that it's not too late. The echo of grace still reaches those who run, and you are living proof. When the echo lives, your spirit awakens. Until next time, the living echo.